Good morning. I hope you had a great weekend. It is Monday, April 20th. Um, Quarantine day, I believe we're at 40, I want to say. I think it's 40. Um, well, I should say 40 days since the pandemic started. Um, but regardless, um, it's been an interesting. Last week was a very interesting week. Um, I don't know if you felt the same way, kind of going through the roller coaster of emotions that you can have. But I've been reading one of my favorite books in the Bible, in the New Testament, is the book of James. And I came across James chapter 4, and there's three scriptures that really stuck out to me. And kind of what I'm going to talk about today and kind of introduce what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks. But like I said, last week, I really experienced, I think, one of the more sobering times through all of this. And I was kind of going through my youth group calendar. And of course, it was just weird not to add anything, not to add any events, not to add any meetings. But instead, I was taking things off. And I don't know, that just because, May seems to be about the busiest time, May through end of July and even into August. And so now those things that were scheduled are starting to get taken away. I guess I always had that hope over the last few weeks that, we'll be fine once May hits. And, I don't know, it's outside of my control, which is kind of what we're talking about today. But my calendar seems really rather empty right now. In fact, this past Friday, I even had to cancel our mission trip to South Texas. Impact for the high schoolers in middle of June is still in limbo. Camp in early August is still in question. And I think, like I said, one of the things I'm struggling with is I'm realizing, even though I'm putting these, on the calendar and planning these, that I am not in control. And now I find myself, like many of you, working from home, some of you are doing school at home, but adults, if you're listening, you're working from home. You're trying to plan out the rest of this semester, by helping teaching your kids and also working, and you're trying to figure out what summer's going to look like. And there are things in the summer, like for the youth group, that I was really looking forward to doing. In fact, the summer is my favorite time of the year. And honestly, it seems like an exercise in futility. Most of my brainstorming is staring now at a blank piece of paper thinking, will things be back to normal by next month? Will we even be able to gather as a church then? And thankfully, in that frustration last week, like I said, I was reading in the book of James, and I came across James chapter 4, and I'm going to read these three verses. And it says, in James chapter 4, starting in verse 13, it says, "Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this city or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You're a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it's the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that." So I want to look at a verse again in there that says, if it's the Lord's will, we will do this and that. Some of us have people in our lives that always end their conversations or prayers with saying, Lord willing. I've even caught myself doing that a few times. And I do believe this. Like I said, I use that phrase often, but not very much. But since last week, I really have not stopped meditating on this truth in just the craziness. In just a matter of a couple weeks, a virus literally changed our lives, reminding us what is said here in James, that we are a mist without really any control. We could allow this to cripple us, or we can let it strengthen us and remind us that Jesus is in control. So let us not presume that we know what tomorrow is going to bring, but instead, my hope and my challenge is that we kind of lean into the will of God and see Him kind of conform us more and more into His image, which is what we talked about last week. So over the next couple of weeks, starting tomorrow, we're going to kind of tackle different topics that we might be feeling. Feelings like disappointment, doubt, going through tough times. But we're also going to look at things like God's faithfulness. We're going to look at the fruits of the Spirit. We're going to talk about going deeper in our relationship with God. We're going to look at the story of the prodigal son. So my hope is that you continue to join us. I hope that this can give you some sort of encouragement. And I want to close with this. Jamie and I, we were going to Sam's yesterday. And yes, before you think in your mind like, oh, going to Sam's, we were getting essential things. We also wore our masks. So, we did our part. But on the way there, we were listening to the radio. And there was some DJ, I think it was 102 The Bull that we were listening to. But some DJ was trying to give encouragement to the listeners. And she said something along the lines of, we are all alone together. And I never really thought of it like that. I mean, I've said like, oh, we're all kind of going through this, but I never thought of we're all alone together, because those are contradicting thoughts. But it's very true. So my challenge is to you is reach out, encourage those people that might be feeling alone right now. Let them know that you're with them because you're experiencing the same thing, that we're all alone together. We're all going through this. And I don't know, maybe you needed that encouragement, and maybe you needed to hear me say that, because that kind of gave me encouragement yesterday. So anyways, those are kind of what we're going to talk about. I said starting tomorrow. Also, don't forget, we are going to have youth group tomorrow night on Zoom at 7:30. Every Tuesday night there will be games. There will be a lesson. There will be time for you guys to interact with each other afterwards and things like that. And I hope that you come. I hope that gives you some encouragement in the week. To be honest with you, it's probably my favorite time of the week, just being able to interact with everybody and getting to talk with everybody. So I hope that you come to that tomorrow. I hope that you have a great rest of the day, and I hope that you can realize in your relationship with God that, yes, you might not be in control, but He is, but He knows what we need. He knows better than we do. And so if you're struggling with that, my encouragement is reach out to somebody, reach out to me. If you feel like you need to pray, pray. But I hope that you're encouraged, and I'll see you guys.